All right, guys, welcome to a new episode of Submission Radio Live. I'm Dennis Shkaradov, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. Just a couple of quick things before we get started. First of all, if you haven't had a chance, join up, become a subscriber of the channel. That really helps go a long way. You get emojis and all sorts of cool little perks if you join up. So join up now. Also, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. We've got a bunch of great guests here today, so we'll try to get to them. Super chats, get to the front of the queue, and we'll try to look after you as much as we can. Also, want to thank my friends at Manscaped for sponsoring this program. You guys can get 15% off at Manscaped right now, plus free shipping with a code word submission. They got the White Hot Ultra Lawnmower 5.0, so jump on that, check that out. The best, most comfortable underwear, boxers, bead hedger, the weed whacker that's for your nose. They got you sorted at Manscaped, so make sure to jump on and check that out. Now, I want to introduce a couple of men here. Start off the show later on. Jose Youngs is going to pop on as well. He's going to talk to us too. But the first man I want to introduce, he is making his second appearance on the program now. One of the guys we love listening to, obviously a genius when it comes to MMA. Incredible career himself, and now one of our favorite broadcasters out there, Dean Thomas. Welcome back to Submission Radio, my friend. What an honor and pleasure this is.
Well, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here, and so soon too. So apparently, you guys don't hate me, so I'm happy about that.
Well, you know, how can we hate you, man? I mean, how can we hate you?
The game is crazy like that. Every so often, you know, you get blackballed and you say something stupid, but yeah, I'm glad to be here, and thank you again for having me.
Well, there's no blackballing this next man as well, because he is the hot take kid from MMA Fighting, a BTL live watch alongs. He just finished watching the UFC 320 at Mike Heck's house. How you feeling, Jed? You recovered yet from that weekend of fights?
Yeah. I mean, it was a really good card this weekend, man. Like I was more big on it than I think a lot of people were. I didn't start that way, but by the time we got up to fight week, I was pretty pumped. And then, you know, the undercard was fine. There were some bright spots there. It's a lot of forgettable, but that main card was banging, man. And so like we moved through. We put a capstone on it with Alex Pereira in less than 90 seconds. UFC 320 was aces, man. I had a really good time this weekend.
What do you think, Dean? How would you rate UFC 320?
I thought
it was great. Hanson shirt? I'm sorry, Dean. Are you rocking a hand? No, it's Nirvana. Okay,
don't you know your bands, Jed? But also, I'm Dennis. God, the guy's been drinking again, Dean. Jeez.
Well, no. Well, who was it that just recently came out to Hanson as their walkout song? Somebody recently. Somebody recently.
Mike
came out
Perry, PKFC.
That feels like a Tai Tuivasa move.
Yeah.
It was in the UFC. I'm trying to remember. I remember sitting next to Anthony Smith, thinking that's Hanson playing. But I can't remember who it was. I'll think of it in a second. But I thought UFC 320 was great, man. I had a good time. I cornered Joe Pyfer, so obviously that was a good night for us. And then the fights were amazing. Like you said, that main card was awesome, capped off by Alex Pereira. And what a performance that was, man, to just run across the ring and just fire off a warning shot to let you know, to let Ankalaev know, hey, I'm not playing today. I'm not here to play with you. And that set the tone for the rest of the fight.
Dude, just on Joe Pyfer, tell me and Jed, it must feel pretty good to be back, right? Because I feel like Joe's copped a lot of heat. You know, there was the whole stuff where he couldn't fight over in Mexico. Then in the fight after that, you know, maybe just didn't go the way that you guys would have wanted to. But here we go. You got the stoppage here in UFC 320. Back in action here, Dean.
Yeah, you know what? Like, this is my second time cornering Joe. And I cornered him for the Gastelum fight, and so I just started working with him. I had been working with Brady for a little bit longer, but I just started working with Joe. And when you see a guy like Joe, he gives off hammer energy, and that's the type of energy from fighters that they're good when they're the hammer. But we saw him be the nail at times in this fight, and still be able to come back and fight tough. So that's what impressed me most about him, because in the gym he's great. He gives off hammer energy. But to be able to come back after losing that first round and still dominate in the second round and do his thing, I was proud of him. I'm impressed by that. And I see a future of me and him working together for a lot longer.
Dude, I like it. Well, it looks like there's some good things going. You got to, we brought you to the party. Keep it going. I want to see Dean and Joe's corner for the next one. Jed, you spoke about how you liked the cards. Before we talk about the main event, what was the fight for you outside of the main event that stood out? Was it Yuri Khalil? Was it no?
What are we talking about? Of course it's Jiri Khalil. Don't be ludicrous. One, Yuri's been my guy since day one. Like, he is my large adult son. I love that man like a member of my family. I have never met him, and I would take a bullet for him, no questions asked. And then that fight was the full-blown Jiri Prochazka experience. Just in 15 minutes of absolute anarchy, this dude is nothing but entertainment. Like, he is pure, concentrated entertainment. And credit to Khalil Roundtree, who looked really good for like 11 minutes in this fight. And then he just got Jiri. Like, it's not his fault. He did everything he could do. And then Jiri just was like, oh shit, I'm losing the fight. I'm going to push the big red crazy button. And he hits it, and it is the breaking case of emergency, be full-blown Jiri Prochazka, samurai, Bushido, ninja, psycho. And that was it. And he did it, and Khalil just couldn't withstand that, because nobody can. If Jiri could not get knocked out by Alex Pereira, he couldn't take it either, because nobody holds up to that level of pressure from him. Alex just has, the weapon of mass destruction. He has the boomstick that he can kind of negate Yuri's ability to get into that zone. But we saw, wow, Khalil looks so sharp and is kind of tuning him up in the first round. It's getting a little bit more back and forth in the second round. Khalil still having the better of it, I think, and all three judges thought so as well. But you started to see Jiri get a little bit more activated. And the third one, he goes crazy. But most importantly, and nobody mentions this, I feel like I'm the only person who remembers this happening, because it made me laugh out loud. In the first round, Khalil jaws him with a clean right hand counter, so bad that Jiri gets turned 180, and his response is to literally do the Johnny Drama to hype himself up like he's hulked up because he just got cracked in the chin and he's mad at himself. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then he goes on to beat his ass later. Incredible fight. One of the rounds of the year. The best thing that's happened in months, except for maybe last night's Contender Series. There's a fight there that was one of the best fights of the year. Easily the fight of the weekend, and the reason I'm so happy with UFC 320.
Yeah, Dean, can you imagine if Jiri went back in time and fought Chuck Liddell in his prime? The battle we would have at light heavyweight between those two animals. It would have been incredible. Jiri is one of those guys, when he does stuff, Dean, he shouldn't be able to do it, but he does it, and it works.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Jiri. Man. Is Jiri has we don't really know people like Jiri, in our real lives. You can't know a guy like that. And I was actually texting with Eric Nixick during the fight, and he was like, Yuri's just he's bat-s crazy. He's crazy. And you don't know anybody who is that crazy, but then also that disciplined, and then also can fight like that. Just the combination of what he possesses and then what he allows us to witness and put on display for us is kind of a generational thing. There's only a handful of guys, maybe Justin Gaethje is like that as well. And Justin now has kind of abandoned that and wanted to be a little bit more technical. So for the fact that Jiri has not abandoned his wild side and continues to fight in this crazy manner, I mean, it's a blessing. This is an era that we are living in and are blessed to be able to witness.
Yeah, it's a rarity, man.
And the fact that he's doing it at light heavyweight. Lightweight is the best division in the sport. I've believed that my entire MMA fandom. But 205ers, even dudes who kind of suck at 205 can still usually hit pretty hard. It scales up, and he just has no regard for his own safety at various points, and it's awesome. He's one of the three most exciting fighters to ever live, and he's still going. He's still in his prime.
Yeah, well, what are we doing with – sorry, go on, Dean.
No, I was just going to say, but that's just what it is. There are other guys who possess some of them skills. You can be that crazy, but you're not going to be a good fighter. That's the thing. You won't be a great fighter. You do other crazy things like extreme games or whatever, but the fact that he we've been blessed to have him in MMA is just such a great thing for all of us.
I was going to say, Dean, what do we do next? Obviously, Jiri won. Carlos Ulberg won in Perth the other weekend. Alex, he wants to go to heavyweight. If you were booking this, what do you think the next sort of step is?
I think you got to go Carlos Ulberg. I said that before the fight. I still stand by that. I don't know how sexy it is, but I mean, if Alex goes
he's
up
a sexy
to
man. He is a sexy man.
Well, he's a sexy man,
but
but I don't know how sexy the fight is. I mean, if that line were to come out today, I don't know if it's come out yet, but I'm sure it'd be pretty lopsided. But if Alex goes up to heavyweight, like who exactly does he fight? Like, does he fight Tom? I mean, there's no real clear-cut person for Alex to fight unless you go Carlos Ulberg or Jiri. And I feel as though he already beat Jiri twice. You got to give it to Carlos.
Jed?
Oh, I mean, I think it's going to be Carlos for either interim or vacant title. But if I was in charge, that's not what I would do because I'm just here to have fun. And I don't know if it's my number one fight. It's like number two if it's not number one. Before I die, need to see Jiri Prochazka fight Dricus du Plessis. I just need to see those two men fist fight before I die. And so that's what I'd book right now. It doesn't make any sense. Don't care. I just need to see it.
I would love that.
Having Jiri would sleep in.
Probably, but it'd be fun. It'd be real weird.
It'd be fun.
What a rough. Hey, DDP, come back against Jiri. I mean, he would do it. I wonder what is next for DDP. Just quickly, super chat from Chaz. UFC should have listened to Dean. It's Ank and Patchy PFL for Dakota Trade. Now, Jiri versus Ulberg for the interim belt. Alex goes up and tries heavyweight. Yeah, Dean, I know you got a bit of heat for Uncle Ive and being traded to the PFL, but
I ain't getting no heat this weekend. I ain't getting no heat. I ain't getting no apologies. I was waiting for it. I was checking my messages, waiting for the apologies. I ain't getting no apologies. But I mean, at the end of the day, look at it. Now, do you think Uncle Ive will work his way back into it? I mean, they booed the man on his walkout. He's the champ, and they booed him on the walkout. So, I mean, it made sense.
I mean, what does the future hold for Uncle Ive, do you think, Dean, now?
I mean, he'll bounce back and he'll win some fights, but I can't imagine him getting back to a title shot and winning it again. I think that was a one-off. I thought that he did a good job of fighting to get there, and he did a good job of winning it, but I think it was a one-off.
It's interesting what's going to happen here with Alex Pereira. Sean Strickland, he has some thoughts on it. He trained with both Alex and Uncle Ive. He told Mike Bond, if there's anyone to beat John Jones, it's Alex. John Jones, he can wrestle, but Alex is really hard to take down. He's a really hard person to take down. If you don't have any success with him, he better be tired because naturally he has a defensive stance. Jed, do you believe that Sean knows something that we don't? Does Alex have a better shot against John Jones than many of us think?
I actually have long thought that he's got like better than people think because people think he has none. Do not get this twisted. If that fight gets booked, it should get booked. I will be picking John Jones. He's John Jones, sure.
Size, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think people just underestimate. Like Alex is not a sitting duck in that fight, or maybe he is, and John will, run through him like Cyril Gahn. But Alex is gigantic. Alex has a clear advantage in one area of the game to John. Alex has sort of was always pitched is kicking the legs. John's got legs. He could be stepping into Coke bottles if then. So you get some kicks on those things, those little baby legs, maybe those little stork ankles break on him. And Alex has always been a better defensive wrestler than people give him credit for. He's been taken down, yeah, but it's not easy, and he doesn't just fall over if you touch him. And so I would obviously pick John. I think that fight should happen. You know what? Let's figure it out. Let's find out by having him fight, perhaps at the White House. Seems like a great idea to me.
Jed, I'm questioning, like, why is it that you would pick John? And
because I've seen John Jones lose once, and he didn't lose officially. He should have lost to Dominic Reyes. And he is, most people at this point feel like he's the greatest fighter of all time. I think there's a little wiggle room in that. But it is hard to bet against John Jones ever, especially when this does feel very like, well, take him down. And it might be hard to do, but John is an exceptional clinch fighter. And if he does get it to the ground, it's absolutely curtains for Alex. So I would default to picking John, but again, I think the fight's closer than a lot of people give it credit for.
And that's the reason why I asked, because I mean, when you think about John's body of work, it can't be matched, but it's also old, right? Like it's also like we haven't seen like a real recent John, with the exception of Cyril Gane, but that was still it was still so quick. And then Stipe, we just haven't really seen like a real like John in 5 years. And that's why it's hard, but it's hard to bet against him, right? Like I would still pick him, but I have these reservations about him because I haven't seen him fight like in a real fight.
I think that's totally fair. The other thing I'd say in John's favor, he never gets credit for it. And it's like the 10th reason you think of. He had an exceptional chin. And so he's not is unlikely that even Alex being Alex, that the first time he touches him is going to put John down. So it would take a piling of damage. If Alex would win the fight, I think it would be the leg kicks. John's really good at strategy, have some plans. Mostly I want to see him fight. My issue with that fight being proposed 2 years ago was John had obligations. John was the heavyweight champion of the world, and there was another dude holding a belt, and those two dudes need to fight to figure out who the best one is. John doesn't have any obligations anymore, and I said before 320, Alex should just leave it. He did what he needed to do. He beat Ankalaev. There's no question of a third fight or a rivalry. He shut that all down. Be done. Go fight John and then move up to heavyweight and pursue that, and let Jiri and I guess Carlos fight for the vacant light heavyweight title. Nobody is hurt by that. You know, no division is being held up. It is a fight that everybody, that your mom, people who don't give a shit, Dean, nobody's texting you to apologize. People who don't know shit about MMA, if you have any of those in your phone, will be texting you to be like, hey, John Jones, Alex Pereira at the White House, what's going on? Can you get me a ticket? Are you going?
No, that's true. I would love to see that at the White House. The problem is like they done teased us with the White House, and it's so far away that you can't start making matches now.
It's true.
Well, you know what you do as well. There's that free CBS card around the corner. Do you just do that on CBS? And then John Jones shows the UFC that he's willing to actually return, come back properly, and sort of get that relationship going. And Dean, I got to ask you, in terms of John Jones' opponents, he has struggled with tall, long opponents in the past. Thiago Santos, Alex Gustafsson, of course, Dominic Reyes. The big thing for John Jones is long guys, good strikers. It has been an issue for him. Him and Alex Pereira, same height. John Jones obviously moving up as well from light heavyweight. We don't know where he is at. Like you said, it's been a while since we've seen John Jones sort of at his optimum. If you were Alex Pereira here, knowing all of that, what do you think his strategy would be to potentially beating someone as good as John Jones?
Well, I think that if Alex Pereira attacks people the way he attacked Ankalaev at UFC 320, there might not, with the exception of Tom Aspinall, there might not be another person on the planet who beats him. And I think that if he was to fight John Jones and he just straight up attacked him, that he might be able to just touch John up a few times and put him out.
That's a hard thing, though, because John Jones, he's a mental warfare specialist. He'll probably either become friends with Pereira or he'll do that other thing that he does with his opponents that psychs them out. And then the big moment, we saw it with Gane, it was too much, and then they just kind of crumble in there. So to be aggressive against John Jones from the get-go, maybe Alex Pereira is one of the only guys that has the mindset to do it. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Super chat question here from Rob. Do they make a White House belt for Jones and Alex? I like your up, but God, do you want to see it? No.
Yeah, do it.
What would you call that belt? What would you call
the greatest of all time belt or whatever? It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Trump.
Yeah, the GOAT belt. It's John Jones the GOAT versus Alex Pereira this era's GOAT, or people are super. It doesn't matter. Call it anything.
It's got
the
a
heavyweight
rock,
king of violence, whatever you want.
I don't know about that, Dean.
No, I mean, I guess, well, the UFC loves to attach belts to things to make it more appealing and more attractive to the fans. I wouldn't doubt if they wouldn't put a belt around somebody's waist for that, and the White House belt or whatever it is, like Jed said, whatever it is that they want to call it. But at the end of the day, I just want to see what John has left. I was at John Jones's first fight against Andre Guzman. It was in Minnesota, and I watched this young man just sprout and have two independent Hall of Fame careers. One before all the trouble and then one after the trouble. Both of them Hall of Fame worthy careers. And now he's in a position to do great things. I'm curious as to if he even has anything left.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Speaking of the White House show and who's going to be fighting on, a Conor McGregor copped a suspension, and everybody freaked out. But here are the things around it. The suspension means it was going to be suspended 24 months. It got reduced, and now he will be back on March 20th, 2026. The suspension comes a day after Conor McGregor announced an ex that he'd be taking an indefinite hiatus from social media. We saw Conor McGregor at BKFC in those stare downs. Doesn't look healthy right now, Jed. The suspension still means he can fight at the White House, but how does this leave you feeling for his return at the White House? Do you think this is yet another sign of things might not be as good for Conor McGregor as we may think?
Oh no, I think this is a sign that he's fighting at the White House. Is my take on it, because like most of the suspension has already occurred, right? Like this is retroactive to a year ago, last September. Not the most recent one is when it kicked off, and I had huge doubts the entire time of Conor coming back, but the White House card feels like a card that he would come back for. He always wants to be attached to the biggest spectacle. This will, by all accounts, be the biggest spectacle in the history of the sport. Who better to have be there? I think that he can get it together enough for that. And the fact that it is, in the clip you just posted, it's supposed to be a 24-month sussy. They reduced it by 6 so he can fight it. Like, that's not what they said, but conveniently the amount of the reduction coincides with allowing him to compete at the White House card. Like, this is, to me, this is just another positive sign that they understand that Conor McGregor is the fighter to headline a UFC White House event. He probably actually will show up for this, if no other fight. You got to put your eggs in the basket, and I feel like this is going to happen.
By the way, shout out to She Loves the Gloves. Fantastic reporter. You guys have to follow her. She goes, I think we all freaked out, mostly confused as to why it became public now. That's true. When I first saw that, I go, wait, he's suspended? And then you read the thing and you realize, all right, he can still go. And shout out to Lazy Bed for joining us. Dean, are you confident we have Conor McGregor on the White House card?
I'm with Jed on this. I at first freaked out as well. I was like, man, this guy can't do anything right. I was like, he can't get it right. But then when you see that it is retroactive and it does allow him to fight there, for sure, I think he does. I think he fights Michael Chandler. But I got to say this, fellas, from a technical perspective, every time I see Conor McGregor work out, he gets worse.
He doesn't look good, does he?
He
doesn't look good.
He gets worse. I'm like, I've been following Conor for years. I studied Conor for Dustin Poirier when Dustin Poirier fought him the first time. And I've been studying Conor for years, and I've always thought that he was a great fighter. And just watching him when he was on The Ultimate Fighter as a coach, like, he understands fighting a lot. But I think that just his lifestyle and whatever it is that is keeping him away from fighting has really regressed his skill set, because every time I see him work out, he's always got this pad holder holding pads to try to make him look good, and he looks worse than ever. He looks terrible, actually. So if he looks like this and he were to fight Michael Chandler, who I'm thinking is probably the matchup for the White House, I would put my money on Chandler.
It's funny because the videos that we see from Conor, those are the excerpts. Like, those are the best parts of him training. So if that's the best part of what he's doing, then that's got to be rough. Is it still Chandler for you, Dean?
It's still Chandler. I mean, Chandler came over to the UFC, and I've known Chandler for years. He came to the UFC highly regarded. He had that great fight against Dan Hooker in Abu Dhabi, and then since then it's been kind of a train wreck for him. Obviously, to kick to Tony Ferguson, but that necessarily doesn't age all that great. But it's been downhill for Michael Chandler, and I think he deserves this because for a guy, he's been so optimistic. For a guy who's 2-5 in the UFC, he's been so optimistic, and I think he deserves this.
Jed, if you had to choose between Conor or John Jones being on the card, which one do you go with?
Conor. I mean, that it would really be what's the fight I'm getting, right? Like, I guess arguably John, because if John is fighting, it's just going to be Alex or Tom, even though I don't think it would be Tom. And so that's just a better fight. But Conor hasn't fought in 5 years by the time this comes around. It'll be 5 years since we have had a Conor McGregor experience, and could easily be the last one. And that is just better for business. It's better for all of us involved. If Conor is headlining that, people are more interested. It feels more lively. I mean, people are going to be interested in this card because of what it is, but it would just take it to it adds a level of star power that makes it more interesting to cover and work around. So I'll go Conor. There's no way that he is in as good a fight as whoever John faces is.
We've got Jose Young's coming on in just a second, and Dean's going to get going. But before you go, Dean, I got to ask you, man, this weekend, Charles Oliveira, Gamrot, very interesting fight for the lightweight division. That division, like Jed said, is just on fire. Charles Oliveira sort of hinting that Gamrot maybe not the fight that he was really preparing for, but the guy is so good on the ground. He's so dangerous off his back. Gamrot can just win fights, steal rounds. Not many people want to fight him either. What's your feel on this one? Also, Charles Oliveira really should not be fighting, right? Why is he fighting so soon?
I don't know. So here's the thing, though. When you fight in Brazil, Brazilians are really tough to beat in Brazil. When you look at the history, whenever they have these UFC cards in Brazil, the Brazilian guys normally roll. It happened in Paris, too. The French guys in Paris, they absolutely roll. Doesn't happen in Canada. Men in Canada can't win in Canada. But in Brazil, Brazilians tend to win. But I think Charles is going to be the exception in this one. The fact that he didn't want this fight, like he criticized all the guys who turned it down. And then when he got Gamrot first, he was like, nah, I don't want it. So the fact that he initially didn't want it says a lot about his enthusiasm for this fight. And Gamrot is such a difficult style to beat. And I don't see, and for as good as Charles is on his back, Gamrot is just so relentless on top, and he's not going to get hit with anything he hasn't seen before. I think Gamrot goes down to Brazil and upsets a Brazilian in Brazil.
Damn, man. Imagine that. Gamrot back in action if that happens. And of course, as you go, Dean, everybody can check out your show. Just for those that haven't checked it out, it's in the link in the description below. But you had another episode earlier this week. What can people check out on the big show?
Yeah, just check me out. You can check me out, Dean Thomas Fight Court. But also, I'm everywhere though. I am trying to be everywhere, and but what I do need to do is I love Jed's take, so I'm following Jed now. Whatever show he's on, I gotta follow what this man is saying because he keeps me honest. So keep doing what you do, Jed.
Yeah, thanks, Jed. All right, yeah. Dean, thank you so much, my friend. We'll speak to you soon.
All right, fellas, y'all be good.
Thanks for joining us. Coming on now is another man who you guys know well, of course, from MMA fighting too. He's only just woken up from a slumber after UFC 320. Jose Youngs, welcome. Welcome, my friend. Not a fan of Jed's takes. I saw there was a couple of thumbs down as Dean was giving Jed the ultimate compliment.
I'm not a fan of literally anyone that speaks on the internet's takes. That's like a rule of thumb. If you're a talking head on the internet, including myself, I don't listen to what you have to say.
Hey, at least you had the decency to wait till you were technically off shift to hop on this show. I'm just in the middle of work doing
now.
This.
Jed's worked with me long enough that I don't subscribe to this term shifts. I am just inherently on 24/7, whether I'm 30,000 feet in the air or boots on the ground. I am most likely doing something.
Listen, Batman's always on call, and
That's
so
right.
are you,
That's
Jed and
right.
Jose. And by the way, come on, we're always talking about how great MMA fighting is. People can go check that out. Some of the
That's
best
right.
socials in the game. We've got that over there in coverage. Jose did an incredible job, UFC 320. Love the coverage, man. You and Khalil spoke a little bit about things outside of fighting, which is what I love about the interviews that you do, man. So congrats on another big event. We're talking lightweight. We're talking Oliveira versus Gamrot. Jose, you just heard Dean's take. He reckons Gamrot's going to get it done in Brazil. Do you agree with him?
I don't know. I'm literally making up my mind right now as we talk because I don't know if Jed was full-time on MMA fighting yet, but when Gamrot signed to the UFC, I was his #1 cheerleader. I was a massive Gamrot fan when he was in KSW, and I got to chat with him on his Fight Island debut when we were stuck in the bubble, and then he dropped one, and I used that like he lost in quotes because there's a real world where, you know, he beat who did he lose to?
Jose's just flexing with his tenure.
Kutataladze.
Yeah. What is Hamzat's Guram training partner, because I remember at media day they did like a commentary media day with Daniel Cormier, and he kept getting them confused, Guram and Gamrot, and it was quite fun having like a check mark of how many times he got the wrong person. But Gamrot is the man. I really like him, but he had a real good fight. If you watch his fight against Dan Hooker without the commentary, that is a very fun fight, and Gamrot was landing clean on Dan Hooker on a lot of those exchanges. Obviously, the Australian crowd did not do him any favors because Dan Hooker could throw and miss, and they would go berserk. So it didn't work out for him in enemy territory. I still think he lost that fight regardless, and just based on damage. But if he has another fight like that over 5 rounds, and Charles is maybe not connecting, but the judges sure think he's connecting based on the crowd's reaction, probably going to be a bad night for Gamrot. If it's going to be a finish, I think it's for sure going to be Charles. I don't think Gamrot knocks him out. I think he could win a grindy decision, though. I think that would be.
You don't think Gamrot can knock him out? I don't know. He was so aggressive against Dan Hooker, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think he knows Oliveira is not 100%. Like, Jed, can Oliveira actually take the shots, even the shots from Gamrot in this fight after being put out like that by Ilia so recently? There's got to be questions around that.
It's definitely a legitimate question. I will say I'm picking Charles, not confidently. I do really like this fight for him instead of Fiziev. Charles was going to get hurt by Fiziev. Like, that was just what was going to happen.
Terrible matchmaking.
Terrible matchmaking. And so this, especially given the circumstances, to the best of my knowledge, it's stayed a 5-rounder. Gamrot stepping in on short notice for a 5-rounder. That's a much bigger ask. Charles, this is stylistically an opponent that he has historically fared pretty well against. And so I like his chances. The big caveat being, can Gamrot hurt him? Because normally I would say, like, not really. Like, he can hit him, but it's not really going to do anything. If Gamrot commits to the hands and Charles gets jawed, then okay, well, he came back way too soon, and that's a problem. But I'm going to operate under the assumption that that's not how it'll go, and that Charles's chin will be okay. But that is the big question around the fight, because it probably determines who wins, frankly.
By the way, the questions are coming in thick and fast. Look at this. What's the over-under on Jose Young having at least one cock piercing? No need to answer that.
Right.
He's just
the
wondering what the odds
is
are.
0.
Hooker had some interesting announcements for the upcoming 1-minute scrap series when he was in Ariel Helwani earlier from Lazy Bed. Yeah, he's continuing the 1-minute scraps. Good on him, man. It's a big show over there in New Zealand now with Dr. Social. Jose, in terms of the lightweight division, what's on the hook for the winner of the? Let's say Gamrot wins this. Where does this even put him in the division? Who does he even get next?
Gamrot had a pretty good idea when he spoke to him, Glamour Cruz, where he thinks the winner of this should fight the winner of Hooker Arman. That's based on the assumption that Ilia might be fighting in January, maybe. Or also, it depends on who he's fighting between Patty or Gaethje, because Gaethje's very adamant that he's not going to be fighting anyone unless for the title. So I wouldn't fault the UFC for giving Ilia Patty or Gaethje when it should be Armin, but Armin's doing the thing against Dan. If Armin beats Dan, then he should just get an immediate title shot. I wouldn't hate that against Dan either, but Dan seems like a guy that likes to break brick. And Charles is a big enough name that if Charles wins, I would have a feeling Dan would be down to clown with Charles Oliveira. I don't know if he would.
Don't you do BMF? Wouldn't you do Max Holloway BMF?
Could.
If Dan
It could.
wins,
You could also do that against Charles versus Max. Like that could also be a big main event fight for a pay-per-view.
Charles called that.
Charles called that for maybe his last fight. So if Charles is holding out, and then we have just Dustin Poirier retirement 2.0, but it's with Charles, and Max is all of a sudden just sending all of our heroes into the netherworld, that would be quite the gimmick. He's obviously not going. Hooker's obviously not going to rematch Gamrot anytime soon. So I just really think it matters. It also matters how you win, because Dan historically is not very healthy when he comes out of fights, win or lose. Happened against Jalen Turner, happened against Mateusz Gamrot. Like he won, and we're like, oh, sick, Dan Hooker, he beat Gamrot. Let's have him fight Gaethje. Let's have him fight Max. Let's have him do all these things. And he hasn't fought since. So ask me after these fights happen, because people tend to get hurt. And in terms of Dan Hooker's case, he tends to be hurt. But I don't know. I don't think either one's going to fight for a title next. Clearly not Charles. Actually, I'm pretty confident neither one will. The winner of Armin and Hooker is more likely, but again, depends on who wins and how. And
Jed, who's Patty fighting?
Patty's fighting. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's Ilia. He's the lightweight champion of the world.
You're still holding on to that? It's not going to happen, man.
I
This
will.
Is it.
I am so much more locked in that that's what's happening.
You're doubling down?
I have been firmly of the opinion since Topuria won the belt that I was like, that's happening. It's the first big event of the Paramount deal. And I have seen nothing that has changed my mind about that. Nothing at all has been like, why? Like, yep, they're going to have them fight in January, Patty and Ilia. It's the biggest thing they can put on. It's the biggest thing they can do. They're going to kick off their brand as strong as they can. So that's who Patty's fighting. I guess Justin Gaethje's retiring, because he said if he's not fighting for the belt next, he's retiring. And that sucks, because Justin Gaethje, the most exciting fighter who's ever lived. But okay. And the winner of Gamrot versus Charles Oliveira is probably, maybe not. I mean, there are a lot of balls. This could break anyway, but I'll just throw this one out because Jose didn't mention it, and I do think it is very live. Beneil Dariush and Benoit Saint-Denis are set to lock arms pretty soon here.
Good fight.
If Dariush wins, maybe they're a little less interested, though. Like a Dariush, they could, but he's already got history there. But I think if BSD wins, they would be much more interested in being like, let's try and put BSD back into the actual title fray. So throw that one out there.
You reckon he'll be back in action? Jose, do you really believe it's going to be Paddy Pimblett? I mean, people are saying Gaethje. Everyone's saying Gaethje. Nothing confirmed, of course.
It's one of the. I have heard both from multiple different people. I'm very confident it's going to be Ilia in January. I'm even more confident it's going to be Ilia in January in Los Angeles at the Inuit Dome. I am 50-50 on who he fights. I have heard multiple things from multiple people, so I have absolutely no idea. And this isn't breaking news. This is just what I hear. There's nothing.
I've had people tell me Gaethje closer to Ilia, but then you just don't know. Nothing's really locked in anyway in the UFC until it's announced.
I would assume Kayla Amanda might be the co-main event on that card's big Paramount debut. This is the thing I've been saying for months. Those are the two. My guess is that it is Pimblett, but or unless. So if Pimblett tries to negotiate himself out of it by asking for more money, if the timeline doesn't quite work out, then it's Gaethje. But I would say why would they not do Pimblett as the first option? It's the biggest thing they can do. Yeah.
Is it because Gaethje's a bigger name internationally than like in terms of America or so? I mean, it doesn't really matter, does it?
I don't know. I would imagine, I don't know. I really don't think there's a wrong answer, because there's no wrong
way to do it.
The right answer is Armin. There's between Patty and Gaethje, there is no wrong. Patty is a huge name, and he has the history with Ilia. If Ilia thinks that Patty needs to win one more and they could headline either International Fight Week, then so be it, and Patty fights whoever. Or if Gaethje fights him, in LA because Gaethje has literally never been in a boring fight, and the only way to guarantee a banger of a main event in any avenue is to put Justin Gaethje in that fight. Then if that's what Paramount wants, that's what Paramount wants. But if they want to hold Justin Gaethje for maybe a fight on the White House card that he's very vocal about,
White House guy,
he is allegedly very American according to himself. So I don't know. There's no wrong answer. This stupid White House card just causes more chaos than it needs to be in terms of matchmaking, because it's like, oh, who could fight in January? Oh, I don't know. It could be the White House instead. I'm like, dude, I don't care. This is like 9
It really
months
does
away.
have a gravity to it of just sucking everything towards it. Like
300.
No fighter is going to try and fight in like April or May. They're like, don't book me in May because I want to get booked in the White House card.
Dude, you know what though? Gaethje says he wants to retire. The UFC doesn't give him a title shot, but they give him the White House card.
Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje at the White House.
Oof, dude, that's good. You know, that's
they won't do it.
They won't do that.
That would be a sanctioned murder. But
if Paddy Pimblett does not get this title shot, is it safe to say that that's it for him? Like, how will he work his way back to a title shot? Who's he going to fight and beat? Who will he beat?
He's got a lot of dudes that I'm pretty much done counting out Paddy because I counted him out aggressively. And I don't think he's the best lightweight in the world, but he has proven to be a better fighter than I ever gave him credit for. And he keeps getting better, more importantly. And so, like, he can he'll win another fight. Like, maybe he'll end up losing and that will be the end. But, like,
maybe Beneil Dariush, if he beats BSD, you do him versus Paddy.
Shit. If Paddy's not going to get it and Charles wins this weekend, you could do him versus Charles. And would I pick
That's
Charles
where it finishes, isn't it? Isn't that where it ends? You think
Paddy could absolutely beat Charles Oliveira. Charles is old at this point. He couldn't beat peak Oliveira. We don't have peak Oliveira in front of us. And so, like, I still would maybe pick Charles, but we have collectively discounted Paddy Pimblett too much at this point. I think he has earned the right to have some belief and not just a total, like, he can't do it, because he's been performing above expectation. And so his title aspirations aren't, lost or won on this one fight, but it is a shortcut. And, I think they're going to take that shortcut.
It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Couple of things from the chat. We got Old Man Dave, White House card is silly, but it's happening whether we like it or not. So we might as well enjoy it and get silly with it. Member for 4 months. Thank you so much, man. And we've got a shout out here as well from Dodgy Hodgy. Great show. We appreciate it. Now, we are going into the card this weekend as well, outside of the main event that we have between Charles Oliveira and Gamrot. I want to find out from you guys, is there anything that you guys are excited about? Let me share the card with you on the screen, and let's just kind of give quick thoughts before we wrap up here. Jose, I want to go to you first. It's an interesting card. There's a couple of names that people will recognize. Figgy's on here. Vicente Luque is on here. And even a little bit further down, I think he must be on the prelims. We have, where is he? Isn't
Voltavaca?
Voltavaca's on it? Wasn't Shabazian on it or something? No, maybe I'm not.
Shabazian just fought last week.
Okay, he won. There we go. He's on a win streak. That's right. That's what I was reading. All right, so what are we excited about, Jose, from this outside of the main event? You like Montel Jackson here against Figgy?
Yeah, I mean, I like that fight. I like that fight because bantamweight rules, and bantamweight is kind of cooking right now. I still think lightweight's the best division. But Montel Jackson has kind of, because he can't stay healthy and he doesn't fight nearly as often as he should. And when he does fight, it's never against these massive names that I think he should have been fighting a long time ago, because that dude can kill any human being. If he could punch me in the arm and I would probably die from just my heart stopping from the amount of pain that he's caused me. Montel Jackson versus Figgy, I can't imagine goes to the decision, that's judges' scorecards. And I say that, which means it probably will happen. I think similar to what Jed said, where we're not seeing the prime Charles Oliveira in front of us, I think it's very clear it's not the same Figgy. I think that weight cut to 125 pounds, he did way too much. He should have gone up to bantamweight. And I love the fact that he's taking the Montel Jackson fight. Would he take this fight if it wasn't in Brazil? I doubt it. I think he just really wanted to fight in Brazil. And the UFC was like, someone big has to fight Montel Jackson. Might as well be Figgy. So that fight slaps. The Luque fight is cool. I like Joel Alvarez. I thought he was going to stay at lightweight. I'm kind of glad he's fighting at welterweight because he looked like he was on death's door every time he weighed in. I am very curious if his finishing ability carries over into welterweight because that dude was a machine at lightweight. And if there's someone that can lose big in big moments, it sure is Vicente Luque. So I think, honestly, this could be a bad top 3 fights for Brazil because Figgy could get slept, Luque could get slept, and Oliveira could either lose a boring fight or he could get choked out because we talk about all these submission records that Charles Oliveira has. That dude has been submitted by a lot of strikers. So I don't know. I think it'd be a rough couple of nights, but clearly the top 3 are the best. It's no brainer. But this fight card is very good for your Brazil fan.
What do you reckon, Jed? Anything you're excited about?
Joel Alvarez is my boy.
Yeah.
I love Joel Alvarez. I've loved him for a very long time. And so much so that Casey, our dearly departed former MMA fighting team member.
I know he's gone.
He's gone.
Man.
It's a great
you guys
sadness.
okay? That's a bummer. I mean,
it is a
good
bummer.
Yeah.
But Casey, I don't remember if it was the Elves Brenner fight or if it was Drakkar Close. I think it was Elves Brenner. After he dusted him up, Casey was like, I get it. I get why you've been so high on this dude. Like, you have been the guy pushing him by far the hardest to me. And he just bangs because he does. Because he's fought like 40 times. He's been to a decision once in his career. Everything Jose said, spot on. Vicente Luque knows how to die. He's the oldest 33-year-old alive. I think I'm really, really happy that my boy is moving up to welterweight. I think that the welterweight division has a long history of good but not great lightweights moving up and becoming great welterweights. Think Jorge Masvidal, Gilbert Burns, Michael Chiesa, top 15 fringe-ish sort of guys bump up. They're not cutting the massive amount of weight. They just become much more effective fighters. And I absolutely think Joel Alvarez can be that. But at the same time, like, Luque is not dead in the water here. So I do think it's interesting. I think Luque is going to lose, but we have seen him employ like a grappling heavy game plan. And that is the one way to attack Joel Alvarez, historically.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great defensive wrestler. Will he just try throwing up triangles off his back? He sure as shit will. And he might catch you with it. That fight's going to rip. And I love Joel Alvarez. He is one of my boys. That's the main event this weekend to me. The other 2 fights are good in the same way Jose sort of talked about them. Montel Jackson fight I'm glad that fight is happening, even if I think it might not be the most fun one or like kind of a little sad, but the one I am looking forward to is Joel Alvarez.
All right. I'm going to bang on through a few quick questions here before we wrap up. First up, Jose, is Joel Alvarez going to stay welterweight? Yeah, yes or no, you reckon?
If he beats Vicente Luque 100%. Well, even if he loses, I just think because this is also kind of a semi-short notice fight because it's supposed to be Ponzinibbio versus Luque. If he just goes out there and he's like, F going to lightweight ever again, I don't care if I win or lose, then no. Like, why not? Like, if he looks great, which he probably will against Luque, then yeah, stick around. Dennis, you want to hear my favorite Vicente Luque story I have?
Come on, let's go.
Jed,
I think, do you want to hear this?
Jed, I think you've heard this before. Jed, I think you've heard this one before because I've told this on a few post shows and preview shows. He fought, I don't remember, I think it was the Brian Barberena fight. Yeah, it was when he was in Phoenix. And that was kind of the turning point for when everyone started to call Vicente Luque like a killer because that fight was insane. And then he knocked out Brian Barberena and took a bow. And then this was the old style post-fight scrums where we'd have all our cameras standing up around like a mic stand rather than sitting in tables. And I was standing next to Vicente kind of chatting with him. And I go, you can, like, your scrum can start now. And he takes his phone out and then he rubs his hand. He rubs all the blood off his forehead and he rubs it together. And then he runs it through his hair to brush his hair back. And I'm looking at him just like with my mouth agape. And he looks at me and he's like, blood makes the best hair gel. And I was like, well, that's the most metal thing I've ever heard in my entire life. He goes, don't worry, none of it's mine. And I was like, oh my God, Sensei Luca, you are just another level of humanity. And then he went and did his media scrum as like the nicest human being ever. I thought about making shirts that say blood makes the best hair gel with the Sensei's face on it for years.
You know what I love about him as well? He's like very like religious, loves God. It's like a whole thing with this guy. You know, quickly, she loves the glove. Great story, Jose. She loves the gloves. Big shout out to her. She's killing it. Do you think Merab should fight for the 4th time this year? Or does it look like a disaster waiting to happen? Jed, you go first.
No. I don't know if a disaster is waiting to happen. Merab is really, 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 really good. And so he could certainly win. This is how disasters do happen. Just ask Alex Pereira. We just saw, like literally less than a week ago, saw what a fighter who isn't competing too much, fully prepared, can come in and do. That's maybe Merab still wins, but why risk it? He is already the fighter of the year. Nobody's taking it from him. Like nothing, unless Ilia Topuria fights in December, which we know he's not going to do. Nobody's taking it. So why do it? You can fight in February as one of the leads of a thing. It is, that's just courting trouble.
Well. If it's Umar though, and that's a tough fight, you want to see him have a bit of a lead up. Do you want to see this Volkanovski thing, Jose? I don't know.
No, not yet. I think Volkanovski is probably going to main event in February. And there's no one to headline in December.
Banner in the works, according to him.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be February.
It better not be a Lopez rematch, I'm telling you.
I think it's going to be Lerone Murphy and maybe your neck of the woods, Dennis.
Mavsar. Come on,
Mavsar. I've got a big question here. I'm going to save it. I'm going to see if we got anything else here to do with MMA before we get into it. Yep. Okay, let's get into this, guys. I want to know from both of you. Big question here from LazyBed. By the way, shout out to LazyBed. Make sure to check him out. Just Bleed Radio. Those guys are killing it. All right. Dennis, Jed, and Jose. Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo? Big question here. I'm going to go to you first, Jed, because Jose, you got a whole thing for this, I'm sure.
No, I really don't.
No? You don't?
No.
What about you, Jed? Do you have a feeling on this, though?
I have a feeling. I never owned either. My parents were those parents who didn't believe in video games.
Yeah, mine too. I think that's a generational thing, though. I'm pretty sure probably Jose's parents were similar. It's like, you get one game the whole time that you had a console. If you had a console, like your parents would never let you play it.
I did not own a console until I went to college and bought one myself.
Me neither.
But I played them with friends and stuff, and Super Nintendo for sure. It had, it's just Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
It had Super Mario World and Donkey Kong.
My parents didn't care if I played video games. We just couldn't afford a video game system, so I would borrow my friends a lot or go to their houses and play. I don't think I ever played Sega in mine. That was Sonic.
Yeah,
right. That was Sonic. I think it was a cool one, and you'll always like, man, if I had
the Sonic game was good, but I don't remember a single other thing on it.
Cool.
The only Sonic game I ever played was like later on when it was like third person 3D-ish with Shadow. That was like I think that was Was that GameCube? Or did I just make that up?
Probably. I don't know. That sounds right.
But I liked N64 a lot, and I think Super Nintendo does the best video game soundtracks of all time. So I'll go with
GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
All that jazz.
I was going to say, it's so funny because all three of us have the same story. We had no money. Obviously, like we migrated from Ukraine, came to Australia, was super poor and stuff. So this one time for Christmas, my mom got some money together and she got me a Nintendo 64, which was really cool because she was like against it. But we didn't have enough money at the time. So she just got me the console.
Dude.
So I sat there staring at the box. And then eventually, we got one or two games. And now I have like a PlayStation 5. And like I got bought every single console because because it's stuff that you didn't have.
I'm waiting. I got an Xbox One, and I've been playing Skyrim since 2011 on. And I am waiting just because there's this. I think Bethesda signed a deal with Microsoft, and if that's the case, and Elder Scrolls 6 is Xbox only, then I have to buy an Xbox. So I'm waiting for that to be announced, which will probably be in 10 more years. So I'm not buying anything else until they announce Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, I love it because LazyBed's saying he got his regulator on, and then he had to rent the others. I remember you'd go to the store, you'd rent it overnight. There's the whole thing, man. And WWF No Mercy, one of my favorites.
That was a sick game.
Ocarina of Time.
That is the best. That Link. Zelda has the best soundtracks ever.
She loves the gloves. I don't think we even had Nintendo in Georgia, aren't they? I feel ya. It's coming soon. Don't worry. In Ukraine, they're just releasing Super Nintendo.
Coming soon.
Oh, they're just coming out. Music from the 80s.
Will come.
No, bro. Super Nintendo system is expensive as shit now.
Yeah. If you try dude, it's expensive. I know.
You can buy those like knockoff, like what are they? The retro ones where all the games are like programmed into it. You don't even need the disc, or not even disc cartridges.
Or you just get emulators for free.
Yeah, that's true.
Just play them on your laptop.
That's true. Or go outside.
I'll go outside.
Read a book.
That's right. Read a book. All right, guys. That is it for us here on Submission Radio Live. As we wrap up, BTL, I think that's tomorrow. Jed, you and Mike Keck.
I have no idea who's on it.
Okay, cool. And then MMA fighting. You go first, Jed. What's coming up from your side of the things? Anything happen? Are you guys doing a watch along this weekend? Or
nothing this weekend? I'm going on vacation starting tomorrow.
Cool. Where you going?
Going to Kiowa. It's a island off the coast of South Carolina.
Nice.
Just taking a couple of days. We'll still be watching UFC. Well, I'll watch the big fights at UFC Rio. I'm not going to pretend that I'm locking in early for the Rio card while I'm on vacation. But we will have coverage at MMAfighting.com. It's a terrific website. And then it's on to UFC Vancouver next week, which is a much better card than Rio.
Vancouver, there's some big fights on there. Jose, what's cooking on the social media? I like some of the titles you've been doing lately, man. There's a couple of them. There was an Alex Pereira one that you made that hit hard.
That might have been. We have another little. We have.
Is that the biggest one you've made? That Alex Pereira one. The one was that like I saw it was hit hard, like 20-something thousand likes.
We've had some bangers over the years.
The comeback one, right? You compared him to something like that. It was really good.
That might have, because we have someone that's also helping with graphics, Blaine Henry. You might know him from the internets, everyone. So that might have been one of his bangers. Nice. But anyway, coming down the pipes, our own Guilherme Cruz is on the scene for UFC Rio. So he's
legend of the game,
the new king of Rio,
like the actual. No, not even the new king, the actual king of Rio de Janeiro, Guilherme Cruz. So he's been getting all the interviews in the Fighter Hotel, especially because with the English speakers, and he had a great time at Media Day. He's currently at Open Workouts, and then he'll be doing all of the weigh-ins and stuff, so be on the lookout for the weigh-ins. And then he'll be post-fight for UFC Rio, and then onward to Vancouver. I will be at my girlfriend's cousin's son's, like, first birthday while working UFC Vancouver, because vacations aren't real. So I have to do that while working. And then literally the day after that, I catch a plane to Abu Dhabi. So we persevere. Oh, and this weekend, New York Comic Con, Ronda Rousey's doing a panel. So I'll be popping over to that.
Oh, that'll be interesting. All right. Yeah. See if you could get it for some kind of comic thing and then work in this.
Who's the best fighter Rousey could come back and still beat in the UFC Women's Bantamweight division right now?
Oh, dude, so many, right?
Who's that?
She could beat Pena, probably. No,
maybe
she could. I don't know that I wouldn't pick her to win.
How many women are like? This is the problem with the division. When Rousey left, it's almost like she had less women to beat than in the division now. You could look through the division and handpick a bunch of fighters. Like, would you just do her and
Misha?
I mean, Misha's still top 15. You could do another Misha.
But why couldn't you do her and Misha though on that CBS card on the main? You
could. It'd be really funny. It would be undeniably funny.
This is the problem with the UFC. They're so dumb. Why would they just give it like Nunes right after that home thing? Like, just give her a few normal fights, keep her around. I don't know. She's not. I think she's a little off though, Rousey. She's copped a lot of damage.
Well, don't. They didn't want to do that. Oh, I don't know how public.
Home didn't want to fight her in the rematch.
Yeah, the home didn't want. They wanted to do just the home rematch, and the home was like, no.
Home thought she had bigger fish to fry. It's got to be one of the worst moves in the history of.
It's also not 100% that it was Holly's decision.
Yeah, I don't believe that was a Holly choice, but it certainly does seem like one of the worst decisions made.
Yeah,
in the history of the sport.
Hey,
bring back Katzengano.
Why not? Have
Dude,
someone.
Bring Betchka Haya back. What's she up to? Remember her? That she was great. That
You
was
could convince me that Ronda beats Macy Chiasson. Like,
Yeah,
or
right.
I probably would pick her to beat Gianna Santos.
Maybe.
yeah,
In
man.
top 5. She could be a top
Dude,
5 woman in the world again.
You could
Top 5
play
woman.
this thing. Like, look at Patty Pimblett. You could play this thing. Like, look at the way they're booking some of these guys. Now you could play this thing where Rousey's around for a few fights. And then you do
just
this
need
whole
one,
Kayla
and then
thing
it's
where
Rousey
she's like
versus
beating her in
Kayla.
judo. She beat her in judo in like 2008 in some kind of US Open. Work off that, and then Kayla destroys her in the fight. Right,
Yeah,
Jose?
and then Kayla can come
Jose
at
looks
her.
engaged in this conversation. He's just checking
What?
his online Uber Eats menu while we're this
I was
is
actually
an important
reading.
conversation.
Is it? You guys are
You're actually
matchmaking.
reading. This is Jose
Yeah.
Young. His
Yeah,
excuse. I was actually reading. Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
man. That's really a valid
You guys are
excuse.
matchmaking the UFC women's bantamweight division. Yes, I have checked out.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair.
Let's
You know
jump off.
what? That's a fair criticism.
Yes.
Go enjoy your vacation, Jed.
I hope it goes
Right?
terrible.
Make
Well,
sure
first I have-
that the
I have
hookers
to
and the
beat
blow
y'all
don't
first.
end up with the police again. I'll catch you guys next time. That is Submission Radio Live. Check out MMA Fighting. They're the best. Peace.
Okay,
That's
website.
right.